I'm looking at it over here.
This theme music is awesome.
Motherfuckers, they some sexy motherfuckers. We some sexy motherfuckers. They some sexy motherfuckers. They some sexy motherfuckers. They some sexy motherfuckers. We some sexy motherfuckers. They the gentlemen with cocktails. Yeah.
Aloha.
Nothing
everyone.
but class.
We are live and inspired today. I am one of your hosts, Gregory Cobra, also known as Handsome Cobra, and I am joined today
I'm sorry.
by a man who's laughing.
I laugh at that theme song every time we play it. We've got to put some music behind it. We've got to put some funky bass beat to it. It's got to be some cool, I got to have my son add something to it. I'm Chris Swartzlander, creator of Tripping Over Reality, Gregory's co-host. And we are joined today by the incredible Michael McNutt, the person that puts the nut in All-Star Comics. And by nut, I mean crazy. He's a madman, and he is Kevin Bednar's better half. I said it. And
that's not what you told me. You said he was from Bustin' Nut Comics, so it's like, I was like, oh, okay, right.
A great title. My copyright.
It's out in the ether now, so it's like,
hurry up.
Yeah, no.
Mike.
No, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure being on the show. So we're gonna have a good time. Let's do it.
It's great. It's great having you. I'm really excited to have you. We had Kevin a few weeks ago. It's been a few weeks since we've had another guest. I started a new job, so it's been kind of hard for us to schedule anything. And it's good to have you on to go over more of what's coming at All-Star Con. I'm really excited to be part of it. I'm hoping to have Greg there at All-Star Con as well, and maybe film a couple of shows there at the table.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome.
Love to be a part of it. Yeah, bring us around. I'm usually running at about 900 miles per hour during the show, but if I have a second, I'll definitely stop by and drop a little.
Oh my God!
Audio nugget for you.
I gotta tell everyone. I've seen Mike like 1,000 times, but never said maybe more than 2 words to him every time I see him, because he's so insanely busy at the show. But that's what makes All-Star Con, and prior to that, the con with no name, so great. Is that you guys, both you and Kevin, are just running around like chickens with your heads cut off, and it looks like chaos, but it's completely controlled chaos. You know exactly what's going on, and there's so much going on that you can't take your hands off of it for a moment, or something will. It's like the universe will explode if you turn away for a second.
Yeah,
I don't know how you deal with it.
I was like a camera right now. It's like I was like, shaky cam.
Yeah, I don't know how we deal with it either. It's very high production. We have high expectations on ourselves. So it's like when we put something together, like we both are, kind of control freaks. So we're just like, we know things are happening. We know things are moving in the right direction, but there's still that like contingency in the back of your head, like, what if it doesn't? Let's go there to make sure it's working. Okay, now I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. Oh, I forgot what I was doing. Let me go make sure these people are taken care of. These people. But I think we have a fantastic team of volunteers, our all-star family, our all-star crew. You'll see them at All-Star Con June 8th and 9th, 7 for you VIPs. But they do a fantastic job. We really take the level of really details and making sure that every volunteer knows what's going on, so they can inform anyone who happens to be lost at the Sheraton Tysons what time something's going on, or what's going on upstairs, or what's going around the corner, because we want that customer service element coming back to cons. Like we go to cons as simple guests at times, just attendees, and we see customer service dropping a lot, and that kind of personal touch that we feel All-Star gives that a lot of them don't, and through our marketing, our Facebook, our streams, you see Kevin and I all the time. We'll be streaming tomorrow on our Facebook page. We'll be doing a watch party during WrestleMania tomorrow night, just hanging out and having a fun time. So
that's awesome.
It's good that we enjoy ourselves. We enjoy each other's company, and we enjoy the company of our all-star family, just hanging out, having a good time with us.
What I really like about it, and you've mentioned the volunteers, and I might be a little biased, but I know most of the volunteers, and they're all great people. But All-Star Con isn't just a couple of days on a weekend during the year.
Yeah.
You guys have taken it and you've made it every day of the year.
Yeah.
Where you're talking, you're communicating with your all-star friends. You've made it a family, and you've always got events going. Robbie's got his book club. You guys have movies going on that you're going to see. I mean, there's always an event that involves All-Star, and you make sure that you include everyone in it. Yeah. And you give everyone the opportunity to go to it and be a part of it. And I think that's really cool. It's like a club more than a con.
No, it's a club, it's a family, it's a community. The idea came about from Susan Quilty, who's a fantastic author.
She's amazing.
Who will be at All-Star Con. She wrote an article the days after All-Star Con 2018, pretty much, kind of just praising the event, but more importantly, telling all these creative people, whether it was Kevin and myself, everyone, keep the momentum of this creativity and this community and this love going. She didn't mean it like directly at us, but she was just talking about in general, don't let these things die out. Like, you have these events, whether they're educational, informational, or whatever, you attend them and you're supposed to have this takeaway of something great you're going to be doing afterwards. Most of the time that doesn't happen. We wanted to make it happen. So it's like, this is not summer camp where you've made your friends for a week and then you're not going to see them for 365 days. It was like, we're all Northern Virginia. 95% of the people are from the DC metro area who attended All-Star Con. So why do we have to act like we're strangers? Why do we have to act like, we're going to sit back and just wait for 6 months until Kevin and Mike announce what All-Star 2019 is going to be? It's like, no. 3 weeks later, we were at a brewery. 50 people showed up. We're just hanging out. We had some leftovers.
So awesome.
We went out into the crowd. Hey, what are we going to do?
Was that Lost Rhino?
Yes.
Was that Lost Rhino?
Yes. That was the Lost Rhino event. Yeah. And that was,
if you guys are in Northern Virginia or you're going to visit Northern Virginia, go to Lost Rhino.
Yes.
You want to get your drunk on, go to Lost Rhino.
And if you can't make it to Lost Rhino between now and June, come to All-Star Comic-Con, because Ross Rhino will be there selling their beer Versus, which is the All-Star Comic-Con's official beer, and these incredible cans. Go to our Facebook page to check out what those cans are. There's the artist at Lost Rhino drew this beautiful can with like two kind of beer-related villains, monsters fighting each other. So it's it's incredible that we have this
similar. Okay. It's similar to last year's glasses that you gave out during the con, of which I would have brought home 16 of those glasses because I drank so much that night.
Well,
I came home with only 8.
Well, I got 2. And a funny thing, I went to a swap meet 5 months ago, and I'm walking around the swap meet, and it's a swap meet of people who know All-Star Comic-Con. And as soon as I walk in, what do I see on the table? One of our glasses.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So
they're really cool. They're cool glasses.
I'm kind of busting.
They have a Pokemon feel to them. They're really cool glasses. I like them. They're really
and they're collector's items. Won't make those again.
Yeah. You don't do anything small, which is kind of what I like about the All-Star Con. You didn't start out small. You were like Kiss. Like when Kiss came out, they refused to play anything smaller than arenas, even though they played things smaller than arenas. They pretended they were an arena band until they were an arena band. So they were always big in their minds. So they were always big. You guys don't do anything small. You're always big, which I'm extremely impressed with. You don't go for that. You know what? We'll start out. We'll do this little bitty thing here and hopefully someone. No, you guys just blow up and you're like, this is what we are. And we'll get bigger from here. If you guys get any bigger, you're going to need a stadium Told your show. I know. It's going to be insane.
It's so nice that Kevin said, hey, man, it's not unusual for people to have triple mortgages on their home now. You know, it's the new millennia. You know, I mean, that's what he said, right?
That's on Kevin. That's on Kevin. He
did go home, right?
No, you're right. You're right. We, in this world, All-Star Con is our San Diego Comic-Con. In our world, that's what it is. So it's like we're not going to half-ass it. Like I said, it's the expectations. Kevin. He doesn't do anything 99%.
He does nothing small.
120%. So, the production, it's like, and the great thing is Kevin's an artist. Kevin's been a vendor. I've been an attendee. So it's like we've seen good cons. We've seen bad cons. If we're going to go into business and make a con, we're going to make a good con. So when you go to other cons and, oh, here's the toy area. Oh, it's a blanket. Someone just poured Legos on the ground. We're like, we're not going to do that. So it's like we have a room. We're setting it up. There's going to be art workshops. We have slime workshops. We're going to have photo ops with the kids. We're going to have Legos on a table. We're going to have free face painters painting the kids both Saturday and Sunday. So it's like, no, like if you're going to go there, it's about experience. It's not just.
Yeah. And I don't mean to interrupt, but I think that's great that you're doing you're also including kids, which is fantastic. I know you have kids. I've seen your kids. They should be in they're gorgeous kids. They should be in like an Old Navy commercial. Just and I love that you're catering to the younger crowd to get them into the comics and get them into that movement and keep comics going, for another millennium, or another 100 years or another century. It's good that you're just doing such an incredible job. I love the idea that you have face painting for kids, which I'm going to get in on. I'm a big kid. And you've got all this stuff for kids, which is incredible. And I wish I had grandkids because I'd bring them, but my daughter hasn't come through for me yet. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Well, hopefully that'll happen soon. She just got married. Hey.
Well, the funny thing is, like you mentioned, that we have kid stuff. We didn't last year. And as you mentioned, I have 2 kids. Kevin has a kid. They're all around the same age. It was kind of like in our rush of putting this show together, we kind of forgot about kids. So this year we made a point to no, we have to bring the kids in. Number one, kids 8 and under are free. That's great. But like you said, there's a wealth of just creative genius kids out there who need to learn more about writing, drawing, just the whole idea of putting all that together and realizing that people like yourself, like Susan, like Johnny Lupsha, it's tangible. They can see people who have written, who have drawn, and they see their art right there. So don't hide it. Like my son is a great drawer, but a great artist. He hides it. I'm like, no, let that stuff out. And this is the community to let that stuff out, because that community will bring you in and hug you and say,
I think that's great.
We love it.
I think that's great. And you bring it, adding the kids to the thing, you're gonna spark imaginations.
Exactly.
And that fire is just going to grow, and it's going to make them want to get better and better and better, and produce something that your kid's going to produce something that no one has ever seen.
Yeah,
and just blow people's minds.
We hear from so many kids, and everyone saying, "This is my first con." Parents, this was my first con. Grandparents, this was my first con. So we embrace that idea. We're not intimidating. The show is not intimidating. We spread it out enough where you can get a nice walk. You can see things on the side. If you want to go into the ballroom, we got 3 ballrooms this year. One, all the artists and creators like yourself. The other one, the pop vendors, the comic books, our celebrities will be in there. The third one upstairs is it's going to be kind of like a festival in a way. All our interactive attractions will be around the corner. Viking Village. We'll have a larger village. We have a Batman-themed escape room that's going to be on another side. The Space Marines are going to be there taking pictures. We're going to have a Blade Runner-themed interactive event there. We have a photo booth. So that's going to be
I'm never going to be at my table.
Yeah, it's going to be your
I'm
walk
never
around,
going to be at my table.
stuff like that. So that's another thing. You know, that's up there. Then we have a Starship Simulator. I mean, I was just posting yesterday that I was watching Star Trek 2. Yeah, Starship Horizons out of Richmond. We haven't announced this, but spoiler, here it comes. But it's Starship Horizons out of Richmond, and they've created a computer simulator where you and 4 or 5 other friends become the crew of a starship, similar to Star Trek, but you know, due to copyright rules and not. But you go on a 30-minute mission where, you know, you're the captain, you sit in a chair and you're like, you know, thrusters warp 5 or whatever, and you go out and you confront some enemy. You got a weapons guy, you got a communication person, you got an engineer in the back. So you go through this entire really cool spaceship simulator, and there's these giant screens in front of you as if you're on the deck of your spaceship and you're looking out to space. So that's an exciting thing, a new thing that we've added, you know.
Wow.
You know, it's another thing about the experience of All-Star Con. You're not coming to All-Star Con for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, walk in, walk out. No, you're going to be there at 10 o'clock when we open. You're going to soak in all the goodness. By the time you realize what time it is, it's going to be 7 o'clock. Well, you can't leave because the cosplay contest is taking place upstairs. After that, you can't leave because Tim Capello and the Neon Stranger will be opening for DJ Roman, and our after party is going to be taking place.
That's awesome.
Next thing you know, it's 2 in the morning. Next thing you know, it's 2 in the morning, and you're spinning around like, I got to get a hotel room because I got to come back.
Dance, Greg, dance.
And Sunday morning, Susan Quilty, we just mentioned, we'll be doing superhero yoga in the ballroom for you, for all you folks who need to detox.
Exactly.
So, take care of everybody.
Sounds like I'm gonna be at superhero yoga with a hangover, with a horrible hangover.
Yeah, I mean, like a Blade Runner Cyberpunk, that's my Star Wars, so that's like my jam. So yeah, I'll probably be lost in there, and then probably do like some raving glow sticks at the after 2 o'clock party thing.
It's gonna be a slam jam. It's gonna be crazy.
Last year's after party was insane. You know, I didn't stay very long because I was butt tired, but I was there for I think the first 40 minutes, and it exploded, and it was just nuts. You know, and it was good seeing all the people there relaxing and unwinding, and just great people there. You know, got to hang out with Tyrone, watch him dance. That guy can dance.
Oh yeah.
Tyrone Selby, that guy can move.
That's his job.
Huh? That's his job, yeah. Job. But he's he's an incredible guy. He's incredibly talented. He's a great writer. And it was just good seeing all the creators that I'd seen all day long hanging out and all the, you know, people that were at the con mix and mingle and relax.
Yeah.
And you don't see that at any other con. You know, I've never gone to like Baltimore Con and gone to an after party and seen all the creators hang out and relax. It just doesn't happen, you know, that often.
And then we've been told by so many of the guests, which is great because a lot of them probably, you know, they're like, hey, got my check, rolling out, sign, picture, roll out. Like a lot of them have pulled us to the side and say, hey guys, you have a game changer here. You have something very special. And, you know, pound for pound, best Comic Con experience you'll ever have. It's not my words. It's one of our guests' words. You know, we're a game changer. Not my words, one of our guests' words. You know, like, so those guys, cool. The guys and the men and women who are our special celebrity guests, you know, they're not just people. They're not just some, you know, weird fall deity that we're all trying to like pay and take pictures with. They're people too. And if you treat them with respect, you know, add that customer service to them, they greatly appreciate that stuff too.
They really do. Absolutely.
That's the difficulty, is just reaching out to everyone, making sure our vendors are taken care of, making sure our attendees are taken care of. You know, like you message us, we're going to reply back within 30 seconds, you know, because we know, I know that feeling of sending a message and it just goes into the ozone and you're like, well, I guess I'll just figure it out when I get there.
Now, like, no, I've got to push back on that because I know I've sent messages to Kevin and the reply I got back was "fuck you." So I got to complain about I'm just kidding. That's never happened.
I didn't type that. There's only 3 of us of that thing, and I didn't do that.
Kevin's always been just a great man, and and a real supporter. I just got to give him shit even on this show. But let's go over some of the guests. I know you have Clayman.
Yes.
Tom King.
Yes.
Gail Simone.
Gail Simone,
which I think
she doesn't do a lot of cons, so that's a big one.
That's amazing. I'm really excited to meet her.
For 2 years now.
She's an amazing writer.
Yeah,
an amazing writer. And Mike Zeck and these are all the ones on the comic end.
Yep, on the comics.
And I know you've got. Well, let's go over your guest list.
I'm looking at the screen right now. For fans of The Flash, Jessica Parker Kennedy, who plays Nora West Allen, XS, the child of Barry Allen, who's also a speedster. She will be there Friday and Saturday signing and doing autographs. You mentioned Tom King. C. Thomas Howell, one of probably the most recognizable actors from the 90s and even now. Excuse me, Walking Dead, Red Dawn, The Outsiders. He will be there. For fans of the new stuff, we have a little bit of the new, a little bit of the old. Luke Tenney, who is Willie on the sci-fi original show Deadly Class, based off of Rick Remender's book. He will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. C. Thomas will be there Saturday and Sunday. Brooke Langton, who The Last Ship, The Passage, Melrose Place, a lot of you folks who are fans of the movie Swingers back in the day, a lot of folks our age, that's our Bible on how to deal with single life when we were. Brooke was Nikki.
Claws, man, he's fucking claws. Sorry.
Well, Brooke was Nikki on Swingers, who Jon Favreau met at the Dresden and then later phone stalked or voicemail stalked. So she's going to be there. So that was fun to have her. It's all about fabric with us. If we put out that second, third mortgage, we could get William Shatner. But we wouldn't enjoy that because he'll sit there, sign, and walk off. Like Brooke, she's been a trooper. She messaged us. She's having a great time. She's looking forward to it. We were watching Replacements, and I told her, I was like, hey, we're watching Replacements right now. Hey, we're at the Dresden when Kevin and I went to LA. She was laughing. Danny Boy O'Connor from the rap group A House of Pain. He will be there doing a couple of panels. He'll be doing a couple of panels, and he will be the host of the Saturday night after party.
That's going to be awesome.
Hopefully we'll get him to spit a couple of bars of Jump Around and some other songs, but Danny Boy O'Connor will be there. We've already mentioned before the show, Tim Capello, the sax man, if you will, probably besides the big man on the E Street Band, the second most recognizable saxophone player in the world. Toured with Tina Turner. Toured with Tina Turner a lot of Tina Turner when she was successful. All her stage stuff had Tim in it. Of course, for you pop culture fans, the sax man on Lost Boys, I Still Believe, and he will be performing Saturday night at the after party. Our old friend, the mayor of All-Star Comic-Con, Ming Chen, will be there from AMC's Comic Book Men. So he's always a treat to have. And for folks our age who watched the documentary King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, the one and only Billy Mitchell, known by many in the community as one of the greatest video game players of all time, he will be there signing and hanging out, and hopefully we'll get him on a Donkey Kong machine. Arthur Saddam, the Zombie King, will be there. James Mulligan, who's a very accomplished Disney licensed artist who will be doing a lot of art there in his booth and selling it, but he'll also be there to sign. So all around, like you said, we touch the fabric of pop culture, every little thread. We try our best to, and touch every little thing. Things that mean something to us.
I'd like to also announce Jason Metcalf will be there. He is the artist that did the cover of my first novel, and he works for Xenoscope and does some incredible work. So I just want to give him a shout out. He's a good friend of mine. And me and Ming got some issues. Ming has not read my book yet, so I'm not talking to him. So I'm just kidding.
You'll be surprised. I'll be reading it on the way down.
It'll be good to see Ming again. I mean, he was at the con that shall not be named, and that was the first time I met him. And then he was at last year's con. It's good. He's going to be at this year's. And it's good that he's a mainstay. It's good to have guys that show up every year, you know.
Yeah,
and
like we like
he's
to have,
one.
like,
I think he's going to be. He's going to be an anchor, you know, one of those guys who keeps coming back and pulls. He's the kind of guy that'll pull people in, you know, and he's a real nice guy. He's fun to talk to, and he's very chatty. He's just a sweet man. So it'll be good to see him there again. Man, that's a heck of a guest list. That's a heck of, you guys have got it going on.
Yeah. So knock on wood, you know, everyone's there. Everyone appears to be ready to rock and roll. And we just mentioned the other day on Facebook, and there's a lot of times we see, you know, on posts of other people saying, oh, so-and-so con's going to make me bankrupt. And, you know, I'm really going to have to save money for this con and that con. It's like, you know, we kind of coined the term affordable and enjoyable. We have, you know, and by the way, you know, behind the curtain, some con promoters will say, I don't know how much so-and-so is charging. It's a lie. Okay. You just do your due diligence and ask how much are you willing to charge. We have all the information. We'll be posting that, you know, in a couple of weeks. You can meet almost every single one of our guests for an incredibly low price. If we put together really cool, like a super VIP event, you guys are really going to be shocked to see prices that are celebrities, and that's celebrities, media, you know, TV, movie, and comics are going to be charging for interactions. And that's the biggest thing. We've always heard from people, like, I've gone to cons where, yeah, it's a cattle. You know, like I walk in, sign, thank you, walk off. You know, we don't do that. Like, you can have a nice conversation with our celeb guests. You know, like, they're open and wanting to have conversations with you. So, you know, that's really cool. Once again, interaction, intimacy. That's All-Star Comic-Con. Friendly, hug, handshake, whatever, high five, fist bumps. That's us.
Yep.
You know, we're in your face and we're having a good time.
Yep. And I knew how good your cons were going to be when I appeared at the con with No Name. John Wesley Shipp, is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Flash.
The original Flash.
He was there, and I talked to him for a few minutes. I gave him my book, and I had met him. I was there early, and he was there early, and we sat there and we chit chatted back and forth and had a good time, and it was just nice to hang out with him, you know, like he was a friend instead of a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him for quite a bit, and you know, I took him my book, and he took it, and he had on his way out of the con. I think it was, on his way out of the con Sunday, I was standing up near the door, and he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Hey, Chris, you know, it was nice meeting you. I'm headed out now. I hope I get to see you again sometime." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it was great meeting you too." And he walked out, and I run back to my table where all my friends are, and I had the biggest geek out moment of my life where I was like, "The Flash fucking knows my name, man. He fucking knows my name." That is the kind.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you can expect.
Yeah, at your shows, which is phenomenal. You know, you're never going to get that at these bigger cons. Like, you know, that seems so sterile, so in and out. So stand in line, get this signed, move on. Stand in line, get this signed, move on. There's never that personal touch, and you guys really do a good job. So.
No, thank you. No, it's just our nature to do that.
Well, you know, if Greg's done with me sucking your butt,
No, you're good, man.
Did you want to go over some current topics? I know you were talking about Captain Marvel hitting the $1 billion mark.
Yeah,
and you had a Woody or something.
Well, I don't know how long we have. Well, it's 7:30 now, so I don't know how long.
I can hang with you guys for a couple of topics.
Okay.
Let's include them in some topics.
Okay. Okay. So
I'll start on go to it.
We talked about this before off air, and I'm just curious. Like, okay, so how does the Comic-Con thing work? Like, because I know that people can't. Because they can't say, what is it, like Chicago Comic-Con, or can they use the word con in it? I mean, like, apparently you're using All-Star Con. Like, how does that work?
Not exactly sure about all the legalese, but definitely San Diego Comic-Con and Salt Lake City Comic-Con have some kind of beef. You know, and I think what happened in some kind of court that the term Comic-Con, I believe is supposedly the property of San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know if everything is like full legit, like on the table, but you can see from time to time certain cons that used to be something Comic-Con, they've changed their names. You know, if we get the letter, we'll take care of that. But I mean, we're kind of under the radar. I mean, if we do something amazing, then yeah, maybe we'll get the letter from San Diego saying, hey, you know, you guys are using a term that blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people get around it by like, you know, COMICON, Comic-Con. So it's like not that. Other people use festival. Other people use, you know, fan fest or, you know, experience, you know, like different things. People use different words to get around it. At this point, you know, we're so far deep into it, and it's within the culture, in the culture of Comic-Con, you know, that term, that it's like Xerox when you're using maybe not a Xerox machine.
I do think that San Diego's tenuous hold on the word Comic-Con is spurious at best, and will not stand up to a true challenge in court. They did not coin that phrase. That phrase existed long before San Diego Comic-Con existed, so they can't own that phrase. I mean, it's like DC and Marvel co-owning the term superhero. If anyone had the money to challenge that in court, it would go down in flames. The problem is they know that no one has the money.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with Captain Marvel, man. I mean, like, what was it? Fawcett Publications had every right to have that character, but they were a small publication, and DC was like, hey, because theirs was based on magic, and it was basically based on a child becoming a superhero instead of dreaming about and it was basically a war of attrition.
DC sued Fawcett. DC sued Fawcett over Captain Marvel because of his similarities with Superman,
but that's what
there were not.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
But you're right. They couldn't afford to keep.
Fawcett could not,
and they kept in court long enough to where Fawcett was finally like, "Fuck it, here, buy them from us." You know,
and the reason why
we can't afford to keep doing this
because Captain Marvel outsold Superman in 1944.
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's like that's where, like, I mean, I find that stuff kind of fascinating. Like just on that point of like business side, because that's like me. I do promotions. I'm a salesman, and I also have done like event coordinating back in the day and stuff like that. And I also do promotions and like for RobCon and a Conapalooza here. I've done like promoting and stuff like that. And so I love like just even like I love like marketing and all that jazz, and just learning about like what impressions are and just the terminology and stuff like that. So that's my spectrum. I mean, I love comic books too, but I mean, I'm more on the I like the sales side because I love selling. So
I like comics. I love movies, a lot of pulp culture stuff, and my background, I'm an event director for nearly 20 years. So that's where my background comes into play. So it's like, putting the event together, I can kind of do with my eyes closed. Really the vendors, putting the room together, setting up the expectations, that's easy. So, I'm glad that I was able to team up with Kevin, who's kind of the dreamer, who's kind of the big idea guy. And I have to kind of pull him down sometimes and be like, yo, we don't need to do that. Or no, we can't do that. Do that in a hotel. So, but we're a good yin and yang. But we're also, we're both dreamers, and we both kind of push the envelope as to what we can do within reason. So, it's nice that I have that background and he can lean on me to say, no, you can't do that. Or, hey, let's get this in the contract because that'll take care of us. So
I think that's great that you both have such a, you both complement one another.
Yeah.
And that always makes for a good team.
Yeah.
That always makes for a good team.
Yeah. Sometimes we're both, both flying at the same time. And, that's dangerous for anyone around us because we're just like, go, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. But, Sometimes he'll bring me down and say, nah. Sometimes I'll bring him down and say, yeah, we need to consider this. So, it's good. It's That's good cool. And crazy at the same time.
That's awesome. Have you seen Captain Marvel yet?
Yes, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Sweet. Chris, have you?
I have not seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'll wait till it comes out. I'll wait till it comes out in 4K, like I do most of the smaller superhero movies, like I did Ant-Man and Doctor Strange.
Well, this ain't no smaller one, man. It cracked $1 billion, man, Wednesday. So
yeah,
but I'm talking. I'm a big team movie kind of guy, so I'll watch the Avengers movies and all that. But for me, it's cheaper to buy a $35 4K movie and watch it on my beautiful 4K TV than to take my wife to the theater. I mean, I have a better experience. And it looks better at my house, so I haven't seen it yet.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm almost on autopilot when it comes to MCU movies, where it's like, I think I had a free night, so I'm like, I'm gonna go watch Captain Marvel. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't have watched it yet. But I had that free opportunity. Was like, what the hell?
Yeah. That's one of those. Where I had a theater and I had nothing going on. Yeah, or near a theater, I'd peek my head in and go see it. But it hasn't happened.
It was an entertaining movie. It's not going to crack my top 5 or top probably 7 in my MCU. Probably won't crack my top 10. I put it up there, kind of second level with Doctor Strange, Thor 2, Iron Man 2 or 3. It's kind of like in that middle area.
Yeah.
It told a story. Yeah. It progressed. There are some interesting holes that it creates, but. In the end, it was just a transition to introduce the character and then, see what she does in Endgame. That really was all it was,
And that to me was, I think, the biggest problem with the movie was that it felt almost forced in.
Yeah, it's almost a disservice.
An already finished storyline.
Yeah.
You
It didn't catch me as well as the others, and I'm not sure whether maybe I'm just not as familiar with Captain Marvel. But all in all, like I just it's kind of like Solo the movie. It's like good movie, but was it a movie we needed?
I needed it because I'm not big into Star Wars, so I mean I enjoy the stuff, but I mean I'm not like when I was younger, I was just like they were just oversized glow sticks to me, what they call lightsabers. So I'm just like, oh, okay. And people are into this stuff. That's cool. I mean, but
I was never deep into it. I loved Force Awakens. I thought it was interesting. I mean, it was a carbon copy almost of A New Hope, but overall, I mean, the mythos, the whole legacy of Star Wars is fantastic. But like I said, when Solo came out, I'm like, fun movie, entertaining. Didn't really have a problem with it, but overall, not a movie we needed.
Yeah. See, I greatly differ on the Solo movie. I hated it, and he loved it.
Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray, so it's like I love Donald Glover as Mando, so it's like he's one of my favorites.
It has an interesting watchability factor. Like I will watch it again and again and again, but it's almost as if once again I'm on autopilot watching it. Like I'm like, okay, I'll watch Solo. What the hell? Like. It doesn't piss me off, so I'm like,
I was like, how many times do the rebels have to dress as somebody else to get their mission accomplished? I'm like, that's their go-to.
That was cool, man. When he kicks the dude in the nuts to get the Quaxium. I mean, I thought that was great. So it's like, he's like, and he kicked them in the balls. It's like, or at least the privates. At least we think it's privates, But I mean, he went down dressed, it's like, so I thought it was great, But and also too, it's like they explain parsecs and like what is that basically.
Someone needed to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because I've always heard this from people where it was like, hey, it's distance, not time. But it's like, okay, so you have these two paths. One's like a literal like route that everyone goes down, but then you have the path that's not paved or not gone down, but it's full of danger and shit. But it's a shorter distance, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's really cool. So, I mean, but I mean, I do understand like people's I guess complaints about it.
A lot of people love the movie.
if you know the lore and stuff, and it's like, why are we going back and mining stuff from the past instead of going off? That's like the Mandalorian. Like, I know people, like, I'm even like looking forward to that because I love Pedro Pascal as an actor. I mean, I've seen him in season of Narcos. I haven't seen Narcos season 3 yet. And then he Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper. I love them in Game of Thrones. I mean, he's just a phenomenal actor, and the guy's like very debonair, Rico Suave, and I mean, he's just like a ladies' man, and that shit's great. And they said that he was the lead role in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's one of those things where I'm pretty stoked for that. Did you see the Joker?
I haven't seen a trailer. Have you seen the trailer, Michael?
For
the Joker?
I can't hear
the Joaquin Phoenix
Joker. Yeah, I saw it. It looks very interesting. Once again, not sure if it's a movie we needed, but it's interesting. I think Joaquin Phoenix is a fantastic actor. I think he will play his ass off in this role. It'll add another kind of texture of the Joker myth. I mean, you got so many different Jokers here. You can kind of play them off against each other. I kind of like what DC's doing now, where they're like, listen, we can't handle a shared universe. We can't do it. We're just not that good. we don't have the talent to do it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give you stories, which is fine. Just give me a story. They all don't have to be interwoven. You don't have to interweave them. When I read Batman or I read Superman, I don't need the blending of a universe that builds up 15, 16 issues until a payoff. Sometimes, a lot of times when I go to my comic book shop, which is Comic Logic in Ashburn, Virginia, I look at
a great shop.
Which is a great shop. I go grab a book. I don't next week or next month say I need to grab the continuation of that book. Sometimes I just grab a book because it might just tickle my fancy that day. And I think that's what DC is doing with these tickle my fancy books. Like, hey, this other universe, we have the Joker. This other universe, we have another Batman. This other universe, we have maybe a Superman. Marvel did a fantastic job. No one's ever going to fault them. It's $1 billion universe. DC just doesn't have the consistency and the dedication to put out a universe. So
I think that they could have.
Oh, they could have
had the studio not gotten involved.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, they're solid if you watch them back to back. And they were not trying to do a Marvel story. They were trying to do a different type of story woven through these three films. In other words, it wasn't Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Captain America, First Avenger, then Winter Soldier. No, it was just I had a problem with it too. I mean, they did Man of Steel, and you're naturally going to think that they're going to do like a Superman trilogy, which is not what they went for. Man of Steel was just the first part of their let's build a multiverse. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't seem to pan out, mainly because the studio stuck their fingers in it and ruined it, in my opinion. There were highlights in the movies. I would have made Superman shave his freaking mustache for Justice League. That's for damn sure. Especially when your opening scene is right on his face. It's right here, and you CGI his mustache out. It looked like shit. Why would you do that? Your opening scene.
I felt bad. I saw the San Diego Comic-Con announcement of Batman versus Superman, which seemed to be 20 years before the movie came out. But the crowd, the pop in that convention center when that came out, and the thoughts that people had for the years and years before the movie actually came out, like it didn't pay off. They didn't deliver that gasp from that audience. That's the feel. Like, did you deliver? Like Endgame, it's going to deliver. We all know you deliver. And
absolutely.
People.
And I am taking I'm taking an empty 40-ounce cup into there because it's 3 hours long, and I'm not getting up.
Yeah, I might have a catheter with me. Definitely going like during the right. I mean, I would love to find out like, okay, what's the last trailer? That's okay. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm just going to stand under the urinal and
I'm going now. I might even go just during the opening credits. Just go to the bathroom, come right back.
Yeah, during the little flip
get out of the way.
That thing, I'm like, because I'm bringing my sons, and I'm like, we will pee during these trailers. Oh. I'm not getting up.
Yeah.
You know, I wish.
And no sodas.
Yeah, no sodas.
None of you get sodas.
Yeah. All hang out before. Well, the problem is they're going to the Alamo in Loudon, which serves you dinner and drink. I'm like, drink now. Drink now. Do not drink them. As soon as you see that Marvel flipper thing come up, throw your cup away. You're not getting refills.
The problem with me is, man, I have like a bladder of a 9-year-old woman, so I'm like going to piss, fucking like every hour on the hour. So
well, the minute I break the seal, it's going to be bad news. That's why I'm like, I might not drink anything. I might just eat bread. I might just eat bread and just clog myself. Bread and cheese. I'll just clog myself up for 3 hours. I will have to stand up at one point and stretch my ass. I will have to do that.
Oh, you've got.
Well,
I mean, it's 3 hours. Dude.
I mean, I sat in JFK back in the day, and I think JFK was like 2.5, and I was dying.
Yeah.
Well, they had like an intermission too, I believe, like because you're talking about Oliver Stone, right, with Kevin Costner.
Again, and it's so I definitely stretched out. I definitely stretched out. But yeah, they would do all of us a favor if they just had a 15-minute intermission. If they just did 15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
like going to see Ben-Hur, the original Ben-Hur in theaters. It's like a 4-hour movie, and they have a 15-minute intermission that just scrolls in the middle of. I've got it on Blu-ray. Yeah. There's 15 minutes of intermission. It just says intermission 15, on it.
It's just a quick 15. Have Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans pop in. Hey guys, how do you like it so far? Just like random recorded video, and like everyone, okay, go to the bathroom, stretch out, do what you got to do. We'll be back in 15 minutes. No problem. Would love it.
And then you have to have them leave the screen though, because if they stay on the screen, no one's going to go pee.
Yeah.
If they're doing something on the screen,
it just says end game and then a ticker.
Yeah,
end game and a ticker. That's it.
Yeah, because otherwise everyone would be like, "What kind of crazy antics are they going to do?"
Yeah,
during the intermission.
I'm really. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, Godfather Part 2 has an intermission in it as well.
Yeah, that's old school. Yeah. They know your ass is very, it's very important to you to stretch it. I'm really, because it's Endgame, and it's going to be a break for, they said, for a little while until the next Marvel movies are coming out. I guess after Spider-Man. Spider-Man's after. But after that, it's going to be a little bit of a break. I'm really intrigued to see what the end credit's going to be, because they're going to give you some kind of crazy cliffhanger that's going to that you're going to have to sit there and pontificate on your show and on other shows for the next maybe 2 years. There's going to be something. There's going to be something in that closing credit.
I really
rise, because it's going to be.
I really want to see them relaunch the X-Men universe. I want them to stay much more true to canon.
Yeah.
Well, they announced that Disney announced at CinemaCon that basically Deadpool is going to stay in the Fox universe. Like, he isn't crossing over with the MCU, and I can see, like,
really?
They announced that at CinemaCon this past week, but in Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't think so, because to me it's one of those things where you're going to have to basically PG-13 Deadpool, and that's just not really being true to the character. Also, too, it's like now you're having to retcon. If you already had to retcon Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, now you're having to retcon the whole species of Homo superiors, the X-Men, or mutants, is like what I always call them, Homo superiors, because that's what Magneto says. So I think that's the correct terminology.
And I have to run out after I say this, but the one biggest thing with incorporating Deadpool in the MCU, which would be fantastic, but you really, Deadpool is the prettiest girl in the crowd. Like, he is the stir. He stirs the drink. Like, It would take it so over the top. Like, it's one thing to be quippy, like Tony Stark and Peter Quill are, but Deadpool takes it to a whole new level where you can't even take the scene that you're in seriously because he's going to say something ignorant. You know, it's not even like the R-rated stuff.
Because he's completely breaking the fourth wall.
Exactly. You can't have this, oh, everyone's back after Thanos wiped out half the universe and have Deadpool sitting around showing his butt. You know, like, you can't do that. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, keep him separate.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to put him in there. Like, Thor Ragnarok was already a trippy, goofy movie. Like, I can't imagine putting Deadpool in this now, you know, hanging out with Spider-Man, like saying the things that he says, like, Spider-Man's a kid, you know, so it's like, keep them separate. Everything doesn't have to be all interwoven. I hope in the future we see more team ups or quad ups where there's maybe 3 or 4 heroes in a movie. We don't need at this point every single movie be an origin story. We can break off and do certain things, because that was the biggest one of the biggest problems I had with the first run of this MCU universe was, you know, like Captain America Winter Soldier, just helicarriers falling all over the place. Where are the rest of the Avengers?
Yeah. Well,
you know,
why weren't
Tony
they
Stark, Tony Stark gets his house blown up by the Mandarin. No one's checking. No, like Thor, Hawkeye. No one's like, hey, you know, what the hell happened to Tony? Let's go check this out. We got to take care of him. Like, no one, like, kind of weird. If I bought the Kevin would be sad.
That has happened in comics for years. One of the biggest curses of the blessing of a shared universe is that you can't always have all your buddies come to the rescue. I mean, Spider-Man has appeared in from the beginning in every single Marvel book, but he couldn't be there to help out all the time. Like, if the FF was having a problem with Dr. Doom and he was whooping their asses, you couldn't have Spider-Man swing in every time to help out. I mean, that's the biggest problem you have with a shared universe.
Like, your comic sales dropped, and then basically you need a spike in it. You just slap guest starring Spider-Man. That's what they used to do.
They always did that. Whenever something was dropping, it was guest starring Spider-Man or guest starring the FF, you know?
Well, guys, I need to horror comics. I got somewhere to be. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This was awesome. Let's do it again.
God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you for coming on. I'm really honored to be talking to you. I mean, it's been, I was worried that I would never get to talk to you, you know, because you're always so busy. And it's good. It's good to see you. You have a good time, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
You guys be good. Yeah, and all you folks out there watching, theallstarcomiccon.com, June 8th and 9th, Sheraton Tysons in Northern Virginia. I'll see you guys there if I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
All right. Bye,
Thanks,
Michael.
Mike.
All right. I'm going to hit X. I'm going to close out.
You just hit X.
He's
great, man. He's great.
Yeah. Yes.
Captain Marvel. Crossing the $1 billion mark.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, I am too, man. I was really hoping, man, that it would, and also too, what I like about, so the new Shazam is actually in the MCU. It is actually shared, but it's so
DCU.
you have what is it? MCU, DCEU.
Yeah.
There we go. As I were the DCEU, it is in that universe, but like, so the stuff that we were talking about, like, I'm not trying to get off Captain Marvel, but it's just like what you and Michael were talking about. That stuff never bothered me. I'm never like, why isn't this person here? I mean, to me, that's just like nitpicking. It's like to me.
No, I wasn't saying when it bothered me. I'm saying that
I'm so fucking privileged that where the fuck is Spider-Man at? Where's the fucking story? Motherfucker, be happy that we even have these fucking things.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm not saying that it bothered me. I'm just saying that if that was your complaint during the movie, it would have to be your complaint during the comic book. You know, the comics. It's a shared universe. That's the biggest curse of a shared universe.
I only gave it a 9.5 because they never said where Spider-Man was during Iron Man 3. Really? Well, it's like I'm just saying, and really, I mean, it's just it's just fucking arbitrary, you know. It's like it's really. I mean, that's your nitpick. Holy fuck. I mean, they could have just put a line. It's like, motherfucker, they don't need to put a line. It's like you should just figure it out on your own. It's like maybe the motherfucker was busy fucking marrying Jane. Okay, there you go. You know, the dude was trying to bust a nut with his radioactive spider sperm. You know, it's like, there you go.
I gotta pee, man. We give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, this is our intermission.
Entertaining masses.
Hey, Jason's in the chat. Hey, Jason, what's up, man? I'm sorry.
I love Jason.
Iron Man 3 was trash. Yeah, I mean,
it was.
Okay, I will say this. I don't even know if I own Spider-Man 3, but I own Spider-Man 2. And I love Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. And actually, I think Sam Rockwell is a phenomenal actor. I have 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, and he's really fucking good in that. I mean, and I've seen Moon with him. That was the one that Duncan Jones did. I own Mr. Right, which is actually a story that was written by Max Landis, son of John Landis, who used to be a film director. And he also directed the short film Thriller for Michael Jackson. So, but yeah, Mr. Right was really good. I want to see Vice, because I hear that he does a really good, not just impression, but he does a very good depiction of George W. Bush. And I mean, I've seen the trailers and stuff, but people have been raving and saying that, yeah, you know, it's not just like a parody, or it's not like Alec Baldwin doing our Commander-in-Chief currently on SNL. I mean, he really, Sam Rockwell really gets into the character, just like how.
On what?
Did you pee already? What do you got? A fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Did you wash your hands?
I threw it to the toilet from here.
Oh, did you?
No.
But threw it to the toilet. But no, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm happy that Captain Marvel did. I mean, I will see it. I was actually gonna go see it. Funny thing is that they're actually remodeling the AMC 14, so they're only showing half the showings. And like I was gonna see Shazam yesterday, and I didn't get to, because the earliest screening that they had was a 12:20, but it was like in 3D, and I was like, well, and it's not because of the price, it's just because 3D fucks with my eyes. I feel so out of it. Like I feel like I can't fucking drive, and I kind of feel a little nauseated when I look at the 3D, because I'm just like, shit, man. I think it's totally, and it gives me migraines, man. That's the other thing too. It gives me a bad fucking migraine. The 3D glasses or 3D effects.
I honestly think you get enough depth with the high def pictures that are out now that you really don't need 3D. It's almost useless, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, with Avatar, the first one of the Avatar saga that's supposed to be coming out by James Cameron. I mean, it was good. Like I saw that in 3D when I was home on leave, and I thought it was because I saw it with my brother, and I thought that was good, man. I thought that was that there are certain aspects of that movie where 3D I could see where the 3D kicked in and stuff like that, but But yeah, I mean, to me, it's like it's always been fucking useless. I mean, the last one I saw before that was what was it? Nightmare on Elm Street 6. Freddy's Finally Dead or something, or whatever the fuck it is. You know, where it was a 3D, and I actually saw that when I was fucking like 12 or 13. And yeah, that's right.
3D was only good.
And that was like back in the day where you had the red and the blue.
Yeah. 3D was only good when it was a kitschy kind of every once in a while thing.
Yeah, it was a gimmick.
The first 3D movie I saw was in like 1982.
Valentine.
And
bloody!
Maybe a little later.
Valentine.
No, it was a movie called Parasite, which was a low budget sci-fi film, but the 3D effects in there were phenomenal.
Really?
So I really enjoyed it. You know, when a guy jumped through a glass window, it felt like the glass was coming at you. When smoke rolled out, it felt like it was rolling off the screen. And it doesn't feel like that with the current 3D. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like things are coming at you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of useless.
Yeah. Jason says in the chat, the best 3D movie I ever saw was Amityville, the old one.
I'll have to check that out.
The new Ryan Reynolds one. Though I did like that one. I did like the new Ryan Reynolds one, Amityville Horror.
I did enjoy the Ryan Reynolds one.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
I did. I thought that he played phenomenal. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I never knew the old Amityville Horror. Hard to pronounce that word for me. But
I do want to before we move on. I do want to throw out thank you, Mike, for being on the show. You're an incredible guest. You're a lot of fun, and I hope to have you on again sometime soon. So now let's move on.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I was just waiting for you. Yeah, no. I mean, I was very ecstatic and very thankful too. Sorry, like if I don't seem that way.
No. You were fine. I just wanted to throw out my thanks
for coming on our little show out in the
our little show.
Yeah, pretty much. And so yeah, I hope that him and Kevin, both of them would like to be guests again, because that would be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so the big one. Okay, so the one that I kind of wanted to get on, the topic was are you?
Can I show you this?
Yeah, man.
Can I show you this for a second? Look at this beautiful. Looks like it just rolled off the printer. This is from 1974. You can't see this?
Barely. It's I don't know. Your camera's all kind of crazy looking. Oh, try it.
But this is gorgeous. It's beautiful white pages in here. I'm very happy with this book.
Your internet sucks, man.
My internet does suck. It sucks ass.
It's all so you're like, look at this cover, and it's all choppy.
Look at this. Look at this piece of shit.
Now we can see it. Actually, that's funny. It's like you take it back, and it's like, oh, we can actually see it now. Oh, there you
go. Fuck my internet provider. Fuck you, Exceed.
So you gotta get a place like that's not on top of a mountain, man. You gotta come back to civilization.
I do live in the Congo. It's kind of hard to pipe in internet. So.
But no, so the topic, man, that I've been very, I guess, fascinated with and just mulling over the last couple to few days is basically, are you familiar with like journalism and like what the fourth estate is?
Yes.
Okay, so just for the people who don't know, there back in the day, like way back in the day, there was a thing. It started in the French Revolution War, which there was many French Revolution wars, but one of the things, just to give a little context, was there was three realms, okay, and there was AKA three estates. There was the clergy, the nobles, and the commoners, okay, and then the fourth estate is basically journalism or media and press, and that's where so basically it's objective, it speaks the truth, so that way when people, you have this outlet that cannot be persecuted for speaking the truth, right, and are not subjugated to a criminal offense or anything like that, because they're talking about things that has a need, right? You need to know what's going on with why the French Revolution is going on, what is happening with the commoners, what is happening with the clergy against the nobles, and why they're trying to usurp each other in power. Because you have to understand is that back in the day, the church had all the power back in the day. So that comes into us now, where in the modern day, you still have the three estates, but it's more broken up to where it's government, church, and the people, right? Because government trumps church, because we are a separation of church and state here in the Americas. So the reason why I bring this up, and I've been mulling it over, and I'm very fascinated with it, is because you have a thing, like I consider myself a comic enthusiast, right? You know, I am, I said this before, I am a person who, I do promotions, I do sales, I work at GameStop, and also too, I do things where I have a business card where I am actually, it says fitness enthusiast and workout specialist. So it's one of those things. So I put fitness enthusiast on there because technically I do not have a degree or I do not have a certification for training people, right? But I'm all about, because to me, I just don't want to pay $300 to $500 just to go through some bullshit course and just get this certification, which is just asinine. But if anyone ever has anything that they want help on, tips, anything, eating, dieting, I'm all about it, and I usually don't charge. But the thing is that what I look at and how this relates is that since we are comic, I don't want to speak for you, Chris, but I consider yourself a comic enthusiast as well, because you're very knowledgeable in
I hate them.
just like I am. Oh, really?
I hate comic books. I think they're the lowest form of literature.
Huh? Really?
Just
no, I know.
I love comics.
Dude, you got me. Hey, man, I was like,
are you kidding?
Oh, shit.
I have
Uncanny Nerd.
I have 12,000 comics because I think they're the lowest form of literature. No, I love comics. I love them.
So
I agree with you. Yeah.
So just I'm sorry I'm taking so long. I don't mean to. So I'll try to tie this up in a nice neat bow. The reason why I bring up game enthusiasts, because I don't believe that there's comic enthusiasts, because I don't believe in a certain thing where because to call a person like so game enthusiasts or game journalism or like comic journalism, like Bleeding Cool, shit like that, they're not journalists because they're not covered under the fourth estate, because apparently there isn't a need, right? There isn't a need for a comic journalism or anything like that. But what I find fascinating is that I was going to ask, is there a need, right? I mean, because even though a hierarchy sees that there isn't a need, the way I look at it, okay, so I broke it up into the three realms or three estates. You have publisher, you have the retailer, and then you have the consumer. All right, and there should be I shouldn't say should. I wanted to throw it out, and that's why I kind of like wanted Michael on here. But I wanted to throw it out to you and the audience too. Like, is there a need? Do we need people? Do we need to be more transparent with what is going on in the industry? Because of the simple fact of, okay, you have all these events going on. You have the climbing of the variant comics coming back, like back in the 90s. You have mom and pop shops or comic shops closing down rapidly. You have all this stuff, and I know there's many facets or many factors that play into this, but is there a need for, also too, the oversaturation of the market when it comes to the big two, or even like indie comics or self-promotion comics, Indiegogo, Kickstarter campaigns, whatever, crowdfunding. Is there a need for people to be informed about what's going on in the comic industry, so it doesn't implode on itself and then basically die off?
I am really, 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 really glad you brought this up. There is a fourth estate in comics. Over the years, it's been degraded to a point where it's just a few free magazines that you get when you go to the comic shop. You've got what is it, Comic Shop Weekly that comes out. They report on a lot of stuff, and then you've got a lot of internet sites that report on and unfortunately pander to a specific company or companies, whoever's paying them the most to talk about their books. But I do think there needs to be a non-biased journalistic, a non-biased magazine or journalist with some integrity that isn't paid off by a certain company to report things a certain way, that tells things how they are, that tells you the state of the business, which might be boring for some people, but I would find interesting, and I imagine you would too. Would tell you what's going on, what's coming down the road. And now we always get information about what's coming on down the road because Previews puts that out all the time. You know what's coming as far as comics go, but we don't know the state of the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be, I think that needs to be explored more. I do see another collapse coming. And I've said this for a while. Whenever you have a rise, let me back up a little bit. I was there for the collapse in the 90s. I saw it happen. And the perfect storm is brewing up again, where you've got a rise in the amount of variant covers that are coming out. You've got a rise in the speculator market because that has skyrocketed over the last 2 years.
I mean,
and you know, and let's face it, storylines suck. These are all the things that happened in the 90s, which caused the collapse of the comics industry. And now, outsiders may not have seen it, but insiders definitely felt it. And Marvel actually went bankrupt at that time.
Yes.
And it's coming around again. And another indicator of that is the rise of indies. You've got more independents on the shelves now than you did 10 years ago. And it's going to keep rising. And prices also
big factor.
Cause a collapse. Because when you overprice your books, you limit the amount of stuff people are going to read. You make people second guess picking up new books because no one wants to pay $4 to $5 a pop for a piece of shit. And it's just, it's a drag on the industry. They don't have to be as expensive as they are, but these companies have become extremely greedy. And it has nothing to do with paying the writers. It has nothing to do with paying the artists. It has everything to do with the bottom line. And that's all there is to it. And they're screwing loyal fans that have tried to hold on and tried to hold on. And a lot of them are letting go. I've let go of a lot of stuff. And I know a lot of guys that are doing that because they can't afford to jump onto every book that's coming out now. You know, they stick with what they know, and that's it. Once it's over, they're done. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, and I understand that comic shop news and stuff like that, I mean, they tell you about like what's coming out and like, oh, you should get jazzed for this. Yeah. But to me, and I do understand that, yes, there is a thing called the retailer summit and stuff like that, but you should be more transparent to also the consumer as well. And it shouldn't be behind closed doors. You should actually film this. To me, I mean, if you want to get people psyched and jazzed and stuff like that. And also too, another thing, you know, own up to your fuck ups. As I'm sorry, I don't mean to get own up to it. It's like, yes, we screwed up. Yes, we screwed up with Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo, the sequel. We did, we've been doing event saturation, and we're coming for another wave of event saturation with the War of Realms, with absolute carnage, with all this stuff. And yes, we did lie and say that we were going to take 18 months off, which became like 7 months, you know.
That's going to kill them too.
Yeah. And
the event saturation is going to destroy Marvel.
I mean, I would have never.
If they continue to do it, people are just going to jump off in droves because they can't afford it.
I mean, I do understand that. Yeah, Disney owns Marvel, and yeah, they can afford to. Hell, they could even probably write off Marvel publication if they really, really wanted to. I don't know how much of a lost lead they need to have for that to happen, because, you know, I mean, I'm not privy to that information, but they could just do it as a tax write-off, but it has to be within that spectrum to write off the losses. But it's just
I know for a fact that several comic books, I've talked to several comic shop owners locally. The DC books are selling better because they're not all mega event based. And also Marvel, when it comes to the variant covers, DC, they have variant covers and you don't have to meet some weird algebraic number to get all the covers. You order whatever cover you want, right?
Yeah.
With Marvel, all their covers are fucking incentive covers. If you order 7,000 copies of this, you get this cover.
Yeah, they have like 1 in 10, 1 in 50,
no one's going to get that cover.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, no one's going to get that cover. It's just never going to happen. Especially all these small comic shops. They're not going to get those covers. Those covers are going to go to, Mile High Comics or whoever can afford to buy,
Midtown Comics,
16 random issues of, 16 random issues of Howard the Duck gets fucked in the ass. I mean, it's just,
it's
like ridiculous.
Jeff Johns owns what they're doing in California, Burbank, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm sure he doesn't really want to carry much Marvel. So.
Yeah, but I'm just well, he co-owns it. I mean, he doesn't own it outright, but yeah, I mean, no, I understand what you're saying, and that's just one of those things where and Jason brought up a good thing too, where he said in a comment that they pander to certain outlets and of the consumer as well, and yeah, it's just one of those things where I do believe that I do understand where. And here's where I'm perplexed about it, because I do understand the whole buyer beware mentality that we're in a capitalist society, and you know what, you don't have to pick up the fucking book if you don't want to. But what I have a problem with is that we are such a niche market, like the comic book industry, right? And it's like. To me, I was saying this before, that the movies are like a shot in the arm of like fucking adrenaline, right? Boom, you go to the comic book shop because you want to get that new Shazam book, right? Because you just seen the fucking movie, now you want to pick up Shazam. Well, fuck, you don't know where to start half the time because there's so many number ones out now. And it's not, and I do understand the whole Stan Lee mentality of this first book should be the first book you pick up should be your number one, shouldn't be lost in the sauce or anything like that. But it's very, I can see it's very confusing for the consumer and the retailer, where it's like, okay, yeah, they give you the first page of the backstory, but do I need to pick up this whole 25 issue run of volume 1 to know what the hell is going on? Or should I just go on Comixology and try to get it instead of going to my local retailer? Or, it's just one of those factors where it's, to me, it's very, very complex, and you start getting into this like slippery slope and this murky slide, if you will, of just, and then it becomes so overwhelming for some people. I can imagine like a new reader, right? A young girl who's like maybe, 7 or 10, sees Captain Marvel for the first fucking time, the movie, and she don't know where to fucking start, because she wants to not read, because she don't want to read. I mean, does she get the kids book Captain Marvel, or does she get the Marvel Captain Marvel? You know what I'm saying? Because IDW, they have like the kid run with certain books, with like the Spider-Man books, or does she get the regular Captain Marvel book? And then it's like, okay, well, this is issue 6. Oh, well, you're out of issue 5. Well, fuck, it's like, or issue 5 and all the way back to 1. It's one of those things where, and plus it's like over, and like what you're talking about too, the price of the books. And it's like, and that's where I look at it, where it's one of those things of, okay, you need to be a little bit more you should have like that fourth estate being more transparent and being like, listen, look, this is how much it should, like let's say a retailer gets gets 50 buys like a book, and I don't know, so I'm just blurting out numbers here. Let's say that they buy books wholesale and they buy it for like a $1.80, right? A $4 book is $1.80, so they're getting like what, like over 50% off of the retail price, right? And I do understand you got to keep the lights on, you got to pay people and stuff like that, and you don't have to really get too much into finances, but you do have to have some type of transparency where it's like, we got to just make good content. We got to stop making events. We got to try to get people on board.
They've stopped telling stories that involve intricate, detailed character development. And all they're worried about is the next big event.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And they've also convinced people that they need to pick up everything from issue 1. And that's a problem. If you write a good comic book, you should be able to pick that book up in issue 16 and not even have to worry about issue 1 ever. You know, that's not even a given. It shouldn't be a given. I mean, people should just be able to pick up a comic book from wherever it is right now and not worry about digging for past comics unless they feel like doing it. But they've gotten it so ingrained into people now that people feel that they have to get that #1 issue, which is ridiculous because it doesn't add to the story. You know, if the story's well written. I'm to the point now where I'm almost done with picking up new comic books, which is a sad point, which is a sad place to be in. And there are very few, as you know, books that I read now, and the ones that I read, they've got to have a good story, because if they don't, I'm going to jump off of it right now, because I'm not paying $4 to $5 for a book for a shitty story, hoping it'll get better.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, and that's
it's kind of sad.
No, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right in that thought process and that thought pattern, and also too, like I was thinking about it, like as you were piggybacking off of what you're saying, that then if you have, let's say, a pull list, right, and I'm not saying that you would do this, but another person has the same thought pattern, the same behavior as you're having. Imagine them being like, you know what, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not even going to pick up my pull list. I'm not even going to I'm going to say fuck all. I'm out. Now that retailer is out, and especially if you're a completist, like let's say that you pick up, like you have all Marvel or you have all Spider-Man titles. Well, that person could be out. I mean, Spider-Man comes out bi-weekly, bi-weekly, and so now you could have like a big pull list, and now that retailer is out like $200 or $100-$200. But just imagine that's not one person. Imagine that multiplies to like 3, and then 3 becomes 9, and 9 becomes 81, and then it's just with the fuck. I mean, at that point you're in the hole, and a lot of comic shops, already in the hole. I mean, that's the thing. It's like they're trying to climb out of debt.
I used to buy $400 worth of comics a month.
Really?
That was my budget.
Shit, man.
I had a great job living in Northern Virginia. I bought $400 worth of comics a month, and it was a shit ton of comics. Now, if I buy $400 of comics in a month, it's not even half of what I used to get as far as volume goes. I have no reason to spend that kind of money now. They haven't given me the incentive to want to spend that kind of money on books anymore. Because it's not there. There's nothing there that is worth that kind of money.
Yeah.
And unless they get on the stick, it's never going to be again.
Well, see, and that's one of those things too, like what you were just saying. I mean, it's like you're saying that you had a great job, you were buying like $400 worth of comic books, and it's just kind of like one of those things, like, man, dude, like $400 for comic books, like back in the day when I was a fucking kid, man. I mean, you know, you were a teenager, and I'm not, and I'm being serious, you know, I'm not being jokey. It's one of those things where, I mean, I could buy a fucking stack of books, man, like that, dude, with like, you know, because usually they were like 75 cents, man, to like $1, man. I mean, that's one of those things where, and like my brother and I, he would get one, unless it was like a special one that I wanted, you know, too. I would pick up the same one, but we would go and he would get his, I get mine, and we just kind of swap, you know, and then, you know, we bagged and forth and stuff.
When I was buying that much, it was you know, it was in the 2000s and early 2010s, and you know, we're talking a stack of books, just a huge stack of books a month.
Jesus.
that I would read and file and you know, do my due diligence on. Now, if it had been back when I was a kid,
oh yeah,
that I was able to spend that kind of money on books, we're talking a quarter a book.
Yeah.
So, I would have been buying the entire Marvel and DC universe every month.
Well, it's just so fascinating. It's so fascinating to see, like, how, like, I mean, I pick up old Iron Fists and they're like 60 cents. Even like the Conan the Barbarians, the old ones, like in the 80s and 70s. I mean, they're like 60, 65 cents, you know, like cover price, you know. I mean,
beautiful book.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they're phenomenal. And just to see,
the stories are amazing.
What's up?
The stories are phenomenal.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
You get a lot of, I mean, the art's phenomenal. You get a lot of, and it's clean. You get a lot of, like, would you say, a lot of dialogue, a lot of character development. A lot. What I love about the Conan stories is because you can just drop into any fucking Conan book and it's just boom, you're on an adventure with Conan. What's Conan doing in this issue? I mean, it's not really episodic. It's just you're going on an adventure with Conan. And that's what I liked, and that's why I thoroughly enjoy, like, that's why, I mean, I keep on praising Roy Thomas, but it's one of those things, and you see John Buscema's art and very clean and stuff, and just to imagine that, and I wasn't collecting Conan back in the early, in the mid 80s, you know, it was more Spider-Man and stuff, because we never got that at my comic shop, the Conan the Barbarian ones, but just looking at it, that they were like 65 cents cover price. Yeah. And just to see how, I mean, I do understand inflation and stuff, but I would love, that's why if you have the fourth estate, you can be more transparent and be like, okay, this is why they charge so much. This is why, this is because of the shipping. This is because of all this stuff. I mean, and that's why.
Let me go back a little bit for you. Okay. And touch on that inflation thing. People now are making the same fucking money they made in the 90s. All right. Okay. Pay hasn't gone up at all. Period.
That's true.
Across the board, you know, but everything else has gotten more expensive, including comics. So people can't afford as many comics.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. It's, you know? And that's the vicious cycle, right? It's like everyone says, well, we need the minimum wage to boost up. And it's just one of those things where, okay, you boost up minimum wage, but everything else kind of, it gets inflated too. So like what you're talking about, right? Where, you know, like my father back in the day used to say the fucking, a cup of coffee used to cost a fucking nickel or a dime. And I'm like, holy shit. And he was only making like $1.25 as a stock boy, you know, when he was, you know, fucking like 16, 15 or whatever. And,
but prices, but if you look at it, pay had gone up incrementally to meet with the times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And in the 1990s, that shit stopped happening. Pay stopped going up.
Oh, really? Okay.
So your people are making the same money now that they were making in the 90s. People are just not making more money. It just doesn't happen.
So you're saying that basically it's not catching up with the time. It's just people, even though, okay. So I get it. I'm tracking.
It's just not, you know, I mean, look at me. I'm making less now because of where I moved, and that's on me. That's 100% on me. But I will never make what I used to make up in Northern Virginia down here. It's just not going to happen. and you know, that's just the area we live in now. But on a whole, America, when it comes to pay prices, pay has just not gone up incrementally since the 90s. Now the CEOs make disproportionately a lot more money than they used to. You know, when you've got guys at the top making 120% more than the guys on the floor, that's ridiculous, especially since the guys on the floor are the guys that are making the money for you. Without those guys, you wouldn't be making that 120% more than them.
Yeah, and also too, you have people like with golden parachutes. Like, okay, like let's say for instance,
which is ridiculous.
Which just to answer Goldsberry question, Conan is up to issue 5, I believe. Conan the Barbarian, the new one with Jason Aaron. I just picked it up this week. That's how I know.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. Yeah, and that's one, and yeah, it's a great book. But also too, getting back on the golden parachute thing, like with Kevin Tsujihara. Like if anybody doesn't know, Kevin Tsujihara was an executive for Warner Brothers. Apparently, there was a complaint about him. He stepped down from Warner Brothers as a CEO or a major executive, and he oversaw like a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff that a lot of the movies, productions, and all that jazz for like 20 plus years, right? But this one person says that he I believe he either harassed her or sexually assaulted her. I cannot remember, so please don't quote me. But there was such a stink that he actually stepped down. Now let me tell you something about Kevin Tsujihara. Kevin Tsujihara gonna be fucking fine. You wanna know why? Because motherfucker, he is an executive. Like what Chris said, executives, man, they're gonna go. He can go from Warner Brothers to fucking somewhere in Disney or Pixar or DreamWorks, if they're still fucking around. I don't know, but he's an executive. I mean, he has a golden parachute probably, and it's just like executives can move around. It's just like
and it's not like he didn't buy everything he needed while he was there and save enough money to live on, because he did.
Yeah. Because he could probably
never have to work again.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, his grandchildren are probably going to be set. You know, I mean, that's one of those things where it's. But you know, I do understand. You know, you probably get bored and stuff, and you just want to keep working, keep active, and all that jazz. But it's just one of those things where yeah, I mean, I would like. It's just, to me, it's very. What the last thing I want to do is see the comic book industry die or have like this 1,000 cut slow death, right? Or death by 1,000 cuts, if you will. You know, because it's like, was it rising tide raises all ships? But it's and everybody says this, that it's peaks and valleys, you know, with the comic book industry. It's like, but does it really have to be that way? You know, why can't we just change the fucking game on its, you know, just invert it? Because why have we been doing this?
I have a feeling
years?
we are at the beginning of a long valley, a long one. You know, there's a drought of good story and good writing in the books. I mean, the few books that I get that you know about, that whoever watches this show knows about, are probably, in my opinion, some of the only really quality books out there. And I read both Marvel and DC.
Yeah, I do as well.
And I'm really sad to see that Marvel is still, unfortunately, doing the same thing that Stan Lee had always accused them of, jokingly so. He used to joke that we will throw everything up against the wall that we can and see what sticks. And they're still doing that. You know, that's a model you need to move away from once you're huge. He did it when they were floundering.
Well, since,
you know what I mean?
Since you bring that up, okay, let me ask you another question. Since you bring this up, do you see that that the comic book industry is contributing to addictive personalities, like addictive factors, you know, or for people to be more addictive in that buyers?
I can't blame. I guess if you dig into it, you can kind of blame them a little bit because of their mega event policies. A completist is going to, like myself or my friend Jason, is going to pick up everything that relates to a specific story because we have to. We're completists. And I think that the comic industry knows that. So I think they're kind of playing people. They're playing on people's addictions. I don't think they're making their addictions worse, but I do think that they are playing to it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was reading what Jason said. No, and that's.
I've got to go soon. Kelly needs something. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I mean, it's very interesting. Yeah, because to me, I don't want to say that they're. Yeah, I mean, I would say that yes, if you do have an addictive personality, and you are a person who is like that completist, quote unquote completist, that they, like what you said, they are playing on that. They are contributing to that.
They're well aware of it.
And I do think it's very interesting because, I mean, it's like, I do understand the whole thing of, okay, well, we're not forcing you to buy this event because there will always be other events. I do understand that. But the way that...
But they are.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, but the marketing says you don't want to miss out on this because, you know, and also the tie-ins and stuff like that. So that's where...
And the fact that we know that they are aware that people who read comics, most of them are completists, and do want every issue of that storyline. Well, it is their fault.
Yeah,
they do know what they're doing,
and it's like, you know, imagine this, right? Imagine a person like, Jim Lee is coming out of retirement to draw this maxi run, and it's going to be prestige format. It's going to be all this bells and whistles and all this shit. And we're charging like $10 an issue, right? I mean, and I know Jim Lee's not in retirement now, but I'm just saying that they get. I mean, Jim Lee. Still, I mean, he wants to. This is a passion project of his. He wants to do this, and so you're feeding on that on the consumers of doing that, right? It's like you're feeding on. And it's like you're just twisting the knife a little bit deeper. I mean, you're getting every cent out of the people who are actually funding the market.
Yeah. And what they need to realize, is that when they do that, it's gonna, especially as expensive as they're making the books, it's going to get to the point where completists are like, well, if I can't complete it, I'm not going to pick up a single fucking book. So I would rather, as a comic company, sell one book than none. So they may want to rethink this whole thing.
Well, see, okay, just real quick, Jason brings up a great analogy. He says it's like a game with microtransactions, and you're completely right in that aspect, right? Because it's like, if you want to fucking if you want to just know all the information, then you got to pick up, you know, the standalone, the tie-ins, all this shit. It's like with DC Metal. If you wanted, now I will say this, if you wanted to be up on the story, you just could not read DC Metal 1 through 6. You had to do the Wild Hunt tie-in. You had to do other tie-ins, the Hawkman tie-in, to actually get the full story. Because I tried to do just the DC Metal. Just
you had to buy all of it.
Yeah, you had to buy all of it to get the whole shitty story. Yep. Yeah, and that's one of those, and that's like, to me, where you have this objective entity where it's like, okay, listen, look, here are the facts. This is what you need to know. It's like they have X, Y, and Z, and then they have such A, B, and C, and this is and it gives a person a guideline. It gives something. It's kind of like a Bible almost for people who either get into comic books, who basically who get into comic books, or if they just need like something to spearhead their way in, so they're just not grabbing this, and this. They can actually look at this and be like, okay, this is the way that Marvel does it. This is the way that DC does it. This is the way that Image does it. This is the way that Valiant does it. You know,
and they used to have that. We had magazines. We had Hero magazine. We had Wizard magazine. But those magazines are gone. All those are gone. And now you've got like Bleeding Cool and Comic Shop News, which is on, or what is that? Comic Book News or comicbook.com.
Yeah, comic
paid off by someone.
Yeah. And that's
everyone seems to be paid off by one company. I'm not saying Bleeding Cool is. Bleeding Cool actually seems pretty straight. But comicbook.com is definitely paid off by somebody.
Well, see, what I don't,
and they're always controversial bullshit that has nothing to do with comic books.
Well, see,
that's the comics, pricks.
Well, see, that's the thing about, you bring up Bleeding Cool. That's like the guy Richard Johnston, like he for instance, I mean, he has like these catchy headlines or these like clickbait articles, and it's like, that's not true journalism, man. I mean, it's like, if you consider
it's not.
If you consider yourself a journalist, you can fuck off, or fuck all, because you're not a journalist, man. Because journalists have something that's called journalistic integrity. I mean, like motherfuckers like Tom Brokaw and oh shit, what's his name, man? The damn, I cannot think of his name right now. But guys like those, like they did their research. They actually had sources. They wouldn't just put out. They wouldn't, and they would confirm the source and with 2 other fucking sources. So they would have like, so they would triple check themselves. They just don't run with a fucking story. Just because this person Slapnut69 posted it on his Twitter account or her, whatever. Hashtag what's up comics, whatever.
Yeah. And all right, man. I'm gonna. I hate to cut us short. I really do. This has probably been, I think, the best show we've ever done.
Yeah.
And I hate to cut it short, but Kelly's been trying to get me off of here.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm sorry, man. Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure what it is.
We'll wind down, man, because I was just
sure we know what it is.
I guess a little bit. Yeah. I know. Hey, good luck with that. But yeah, let me just give me 1 minute. I'll wind it down. We'll say guys, and then just.
But we need to remind the readers of what to pick up. I picked up the new Hulk. Incredible still, just an amazing book. Amazing. The new Green Lantern. What's that?
That's Al Ewing who's doing the book.
Yes, still just doing. Just so good. And the new Green Lantern is still, fuck you, Morrison, for making me wrong, but it's a really good.
Yeah, I read a bit of that, man. It's really good, man. Him and Adam Strange in the book, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
just good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, that's going strong. I like. You can tell that this story arc ended the way that it ended, and I'm glad that it's only it's 1 through 6. I love that story arc. What did I pick up? Shit, I'm blanking. But anything else did you pick up? I'm sorry.
The Dreaming, which is always good. All the Neil Gaiman Sandman tie-ins are really good. So if you're interested in that.
Oh yeah. Conan the Barbarian #5, like I said before. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yep. Conan. I mean, you can't go wrong. You know?
Yeah, Jason Aaron's knocking it out of the park like he always does with this one. But yeah,
he's just a phenomenal writer. I mean, the guy writes medieval and God stuff just really, really well. He's got a talent for it.
Oh yeah, one thing that I did pick up that is tying in with Savage Avengers, which I'm actually picking that one up, is Avengers No Road Home. That actually has Conan in it, and it actually ties into how Conan gets to the modern age from the Hyborian age.
Yeah,
that's
they already did that. They already did that back in 1975. It was a book called What If Conan.
Yeah,
that existed in the modern age. But you know, let's write a shitty Avengers story about it.
Yeah, but other than those, I can't really think of anything else. But yeah, okay. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again, Michael McNutt, for being our very special guest. And thank you,
God bless
Chris.
Michael. Thank you.
And thank you, Chris, for entertaining me about the need for a fourth estate in comic books.
Oh,
it was just
absolutely there needs to be one.
Yeah, and it was just and thank you everybody too for watching this. And I hope I didn't bore you, Chris, or the viewers with it. It was just something that was on my mind. I've been pondering it, like I said, the last couple of few days, and I just wanted to put it out in the ether. I wanted to get it out there. And as always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends.
It was on point. The show was on point, man.
And also, too, comment below. Let us know if we're sucking, if we're doing good. Just, and spread the word because, it's like.
And if you think we suck, fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, if you comment and you say, "Hey, you fucking suck," it's like, "Hey, thanks for commenting." I mean, I'll respond. Don't worry.
Well,
it's like,
yes.
I mean, yeah, and I'll even put a thumbs up. Like that if you want. But it's just like, yeah, just comment below. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Want to say once again, thank you, Michael McNutt, for being our very special guest. And love to all. God bless, and as always,
God bless you all. We will.